President of South Asian University, Dr. Kavita Sharma, Vice President, Professor Rajiv Saxena, Foreign Secretary of Government of India, Srimati Sujata Singh, distinguished panelists, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I feel honored and privileged to join you all today at this special event on SAARC in a globalized world. I am especially happy that we are having this event on December 8, which is observed as SAARC Charter Day, to commemorate the signing of the SAARC Charter in 1985. Friends, as you all know, I have just returned from Kathmandu, where I had accompanied the Prime Minister for the 18th SAARC Summit. It was an occasion for us to assess SAARC, to see the road it has travelled since 1985, and to mark out its future direction. That is why the topic you have chosen is a very timely one, Kavitaji. In the 6 months that our government has been in office, both Prime Minister and I have travelled to many corners of the world. And everywhere we have witnessed the rising wave of globalization. From Latin America to Africa, and from Asia to Australia, the world is becoming flatter, smaller, and more interconnected as economies, polities, communications, and cultures integrate. We are living in an era of instant coffee, instant information, and even instant bank transfers. Money, technologies, ideas, and even diseases are today moving on a global scale. How has this process impacted upon our question, on our own region, and upon SAARC? Friends, our journey of South Asian cooperation began on December 18, 1985. Next year will mark 30 years of SAARC. During this period, the membership of SAARC has increased from 7 to 8. We now have 9 observers, and we have a large body of work devoted to sectoral cooperation. But we need to ask ourselves, have we done all that we could do to catalyze inter-regional cooperation, to take advantage of our commonalities? Because truly, there is no region in the world which shares the ties of history, culture, and geography that the 8 countries of SAARC do. Our people understand and have an affinity for each other. From Kabul to Karachi to Kolkata to Kathmandu, we play the same sports, eat similar food, share the same musical traditions, enjoy the same kind of films and TV serials. We also share the same challenges. Our region remains one of the most vulnerable to climate change and natural disasters. Cyclones, floods, earthquakes, and landslides occur in the region frequently. It also faces long-term water, food, and energy security challenges. That is why we created SAARC. Because we were, and I quote from the charter of the organization, quote, aware of the common problems, interests, and aspirations of the peoples of South Asia, and the need for joint action and enhanced cooperation, unquote. And this joint action and cooperation was to promote the welfare of the peoples of South Asia and to improve their quality of life, to accelerate economic growth, social progress, and cultural development in the region, and to provide all individuals the opportunity to live in dignity and to realize their full potential. Friends, this is the touchstone against which we have to judge our collective efforts in SAARC. And this is where we have not done as well as we could have. Despite strong growth and significant poverty reduction, our region still has the world's largest number of people living below the poverty line. South Asia fares poorly in respect of food security and human development indicators for health, nutrition, education, and so on. We are home to about 23% of the world population, but our share in world gross domestic product remains at barely 2.3%. Yet, our region also remains one with enormous potential, thanks to the happy conjunction of democracy, demography, and demand, with which South Asia is blessed. It is worth noting that of the 8 leaders present at the SAARC summit in Kathmandu, only 2 had been present at the last SAARC summit in Maldives in 2011, one of whom, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was re-elected only this year. This says a lot about the robust manner in which democracy is taking root in the SAARC region. We also have an abundance of natural and human resources. Our relatively young population is on course to become the largest and most dynamic middle class in the world. And each of the 8 SAARC nations possesses a unique spirit of enterprise. That is why, despite the downturn in the global economy, our region is growing at a good pace, with the growth rate in recent years averaging 6 to 8%. But we can grow faster. And we can make our region safer and better through increased regional integration and cooperation. That was the main thrust of the message that Prime Minister Modi and I conveyed to our interlocutors at the Kathmandu summit. Friends, regional economic integration has already achieved remarkable successes in Europe, Southeast Asia and elsewhere. Then why has our region been left behind? The problem is that our land, air and maritime connectivity is still very tenuous. Weak transport connectivity, complex procedures of customs clearances at the border, limited crossing points for entry of goods, onerous and costly transshipment requirements, and inefficiencies in the payment systems all inhibit smooth cross-border movement of goods and seriously undermine the competitiveness of businesses and overall economies in the region. South Asia has the second highest intra-regional trade costs. As Prime Minister pointed out, goods travel from one Punjab to the other Punjab through Delhi, Mumbai, Dubai and Karachi, making the journey 11 times longer and the cost 4 times more. Several studies have highlighted that there is significant potential for improving intra-regional trade in South Asia. With reductions in tariff and non-tariff barriers, intra-regional trade could be enhanced by as much as 250% of the current level, with much of the gain going to the smaller members of the SAARC. Therefore, we need to create more railways and highways, introduce cheaper and more plentiful flight services between our cities, more cargo and ferry services between our ports, and better regional roaming for our telecom operators. We had hoped to sign the SAARC motor vehicle and SAARC railway agreements at this summit. Unfortunately, however, this was not to be. SAARC transport ministers will now be meeting within 3 months to finalize and approve these 2 agreements for signature. Friends, India has already undertaken several initiatives on its own to improve regional connectivity. In order to facilitate trade among contiguous countries, we are introducing integrated checkposts to serve as a single window facility covering customs, immigration and warehousing, health facilities, shopping complex, and parking facilities under one roof. We are building a multi-modal system that could help improve trade and provide a gateway to ASEAN. At the Kathmandu summit, the leaders renewed their commitment to achieve a South Asian Economic Union and to accelerate free trade in goods and services. But the reality remains that 29 years after the formation of SAARC and 8 years after the promulgation of the SAFTA, our inter-regional trade is less than 6% of our global trade. The World Bank says that this makes South Asia the least integrated region in the world. Even sub-Saharan Africa, with poor regional connectivity, scores over South Asia with over 10% of its trade being intra-regional. India has already taken several measures to boost intra-regional trade, including providing duty-free access to goods from SAARC LDCs. By slashing this sensitive list to just 25 tariff lines, we have ensured that zero basic duty now applies to 99.7% of goods traded with the 5 SAARC LDCs. If our other partners also dismantle their tariff and non-tariff barriers, it will benefit the entire region. Friends, this process must be accompanied by an effort to enhance free trade in services and stepping up financial flows within the region, in particular investment, which performs even worse than trade. Intra-regional investment is just about 5% of total cumulated foreign direct investment in the region. Similarly, there is a huge potential for intra-regional trade in services, particularly in tourism, education, banking, healthcare and IT-enabled services. Unfortunately, the SAARC agreement on trade in services has not progressed at the pace that had been planned. We must work to make it functional at an early date. Economic growth and social progress are possible only in a peaceful and secure environment. Terrorism is one of the most serious challenges facing the entire South Asian region, and it can only be dealt with when each one of us recognizes that there are no good terrorists and bad terrorists. They are all the same. As neighbors, we must remain sensitive to each other's security concerns and neither encourage nor undertake any activity that might be detrimental to the security and welfare of the neighbor. It is equally important to ensure that we fulfill our international and regional obligations in terms of denying sanctuary, funding and training, support to non-state actors, terrorists and criminals. We must also strengthen our defenses against illicit narcotics, fake currency, weapon smuggling, human trafficking and cyber crime. We must work together to neutralize the threats posed to each other by sharing resources and intelligence and data about extremist and terrorist outfits. Only then can we create a genuine, cooperative South Asian security community. Another area where SAARC can make a huge difference is energy. Today, energy security has become the paramount challenge for our region, given that our per capita consumption of power is among the lowest in the world, and as much as 30% of the region's energy demands are met through imports. At the same time, the presence of natural gas in Bangladesh, coal and petroleum products in India, and hydropower in Nepal and Bhutan provides a basis for regionally integrated energy cooperation. To reduce imports and move towards greater inter-regional energy security, we need to harness conventional and renewable sources of energy such as solar, wind and hydropower, all of which South Asia has in abundance. We also need to build interconnected transmission grids and forge effective power trading agreements in hydropower, petroleum products, bulk electricity, natural gas and coal. It is a matter of great satisfaction that the SAARC Framework Agreement for Energy Cooperation was signed at the Kathmandu Summit. It will facilitate development of a SAARC market of electricity. It can help us realize the vision of a SAARC regional energy grid through which our entire region will be connected in future through the commercial sharing of resources, whether oil, gas, water, wind or solar. Friends, I firmly believe that our region can emerge as a driving engine for the world economy if we exploit our economic complementarities, completely normalize our trade relations, and ensure an environment for rapid growth. This would make the South Asia region a magnet for greater trade investment and financial flows. But regional integration is not just about economies. Enhancing connectivity also serves as a catalyst for better mutual understanding and friendship among our peoples. Just think of the benefits of scale from joint tours for the Ramayana Trail or the Buddhist circuit covering more than one SAARC country. We should also encourage greater broadcasting, television and film exchanges among our countries, translations of our writers into each other's languages, and encourage our students to study at each other's educational institutions. The South Asian University is already a shining example of what our joint efforts can achieve. Culture, commerce and connectivity can be the building blocks for a better future for all our peoples. We also recognize that India, by virtue of its size and location, has a special responsibility in driving the locomotive of South Asian growth and renaissance. I have no hesitation in saying that we will continue to institutionalize positive asymmetry in favor of our neighbors and allow all to benefit from our economy and market. In his speech to the SAARC summit, Prime Minister outlined a series of unilateral commitments. Let me briefly mention them. 1. We have agreed to set up a special purpose facility in India to finance infrastructure projects in the region in order to enhance connectivity and trade. 2. We will grant business visa for 3 to 5 years for SAARC members through a SAARC Business Travelers Card. 3. We will improve facilities at the border to promote trade. 4. We will fund the SAARC Regional Supra Reference Laboratory in Kathmandu for TB and HIV. 5. we offered our 5-in-1 vaccine for the children of South Asia. 6, we offered monitoring and surveillance in polio-free countries and providing vaccines wherever required. 7, we will provide immediate medical visa for patients from SAARC countries plus 1 attendant. 8, we will connect South Asian students through online courses and e-libraries. 9, we will extend India's national knowledge network to the SAARC region. 10, we will get the South Asian University to partner with at least one university in each SAARC country. 11, we will host a conference in India for all South Asian partners in 2015 to strengthen our collective ability to apply space technology in economic development and governance. 12th, by SAARC Day in 2016, we will launch a satellite dedicated to SAARC to benefit other SAARC countries in areas such as education, telemedicine, disaster response, resource management, weather forecasting, and communication. Friends, I hope these announcements will serve as a concrete expression of India's abiding commitment to SAARC, a commitment that Prime Minister Modi first demonstrated by inviting all 7 SAARC leaders to his oath-taking ceremony on May 26th. Our vision of Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas applies to the entire SAARC region. As Prime Minister noted in his speech at the summit, quote, "The future I dream for India is a future I wish for our entire region. Together we can create a viable ecosystem of regional integration and cooperation. Together we can unlock the latent talent of South Asia and help take forward a shared agenda of socio-economic progress and development. For the SAARC is ultimately about positive synergy, allowing each of our 8 nations to live up to our full potential. But for this to happen, SAARC must overcome the legacy of mistrust of the past. We must recognize that our biggest enemies are poverty, illiteracy, terrorism, and environmental degradation. And our biggest strength is proximity. Only when we convert proximity into solidarity will we be able to tackle these challenges effectively. A cohesive and united South Asia can also speak with one voice on a host of global issues, from the promise of the Doha Round to the post-2015 development agenda, and from reform of the United Nations to the challenges of peacekeeping and climate change. Friends, as Prime Minister said in Kathmandu, when we speak of SAARC, we usually hear 2 reactions, cynicism and skepticism. And he made a stirring call to change cynicism into optimism. To quote from his speech, quote, "India's vision for the region rests on 5 pillars: trade, investment, assistance, cooperation in every area, and contacts between our people, and all through seamless connectivity." This is the call of our times. This is the age of social media where boundaries matter little. There is a new awakening in South Asia, a new recognition of interlinked destinies, and a new belief in shared opportunities. The bonds will grow through SAARC or outside, among us or some of us, unquote. Friends, that change has to come from within us, and particularly from our youth. That is why I believe that one of the most important and far-reaching SAARC projects is that of the South Asian University. When we talk of globalization, we should not look only at goods and services, but as equally important is the globalization of the mind. A South Asian University, by building a culture of understanding and regional consciousness, by nurturing a new class of bright, liberal minds, can play a transformative role in this process. A new generation, imbued with hope and courage and unfettered by the weight of the past, is the best guarantee that SAARC in a globalizing world will find its rightful place and help us attain the vision of shared regional prosperity that our leaders pledged at Dhaka on this very day 29 years ago. Thank you.